Superman.
Miss Lane.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Road to Superman. This is episode 94, and today we have loads of really exciting and interesting reports to go through, as well as our first box office projections for Superman, and they are really promising. But first, let me know how much money you think the movie will make in the comments below. And so let's start with some pretty big updates coming via The Hollywood Reporter. Firstly, they state that the movie did in fact have 3 days of pickups in Atlanta, but no major reshoots, and we heard murmurings of something like this going on, but now a huge trade has confirmed it. No reshoots, just 3 days of pickups, and this is great to hear. I don't think this is anything to worry about, and in fact it shows the care and dedication Gunn has for this movie. He listened to feedback or saw for himself some things needed tweaking, and he was proactive and shot those tweaks for the movie. I know some will try and twist this into a negative, but I don't think this is. If there are ways to improve your movie, surely it's a good thing when a director makes those changes. Otherwise, we would be left with a movie that could have been improved but wasn't. If it were major reshoots, then that's where the worry would lie, because then it would indicate that the movie is a mess, but pickups do not indicate that whatsoever. Now, the second update from THR is that John Murphy started as the composer, providing the John Williams-inspired electric guitar riff, and David Fleming was brought in as an additional composer early on this year, and both of their music will be in the movie. Now, this is interesting. It's not uncommon for 2 or more composers to work on a movie score, but I'm not sure if it's a common thing for them to be brought in midway through production. Clearly, either Murphy or Gunn thought the score needed some help, and so Fleming was brought in to help. And I don't know how I feel about this. Yet again, I'm happy they're making proactive choices to enhance or improve elements of the movie, but is this potentially a sign that Murphy's score was too weak on its own and was the wrong guy for the job all along? Potentially, but it sounds like Gunn liked the electric guitar riff Murphy created, but maybe the other parts just didn't work and Murphy couldn't improve on them. Now, like I said, this could be very normal practice, and I assume depending on who you ask, you'll get varying levels of panic surrounding this information. But I'm gonna say I don't think this is really anything to worry about right now. One of my favorite scores of all time, Man of Steel, didn't just have Hans Zimmer working on it. Junkie XL and many others worked on it too, and I absolutely love that score. And Fleming isn't replacing Murphy, he's just working with him, so it's a collaboration rather than a replacement. Now, the World of Real say the change in composer was to make the score more serious after the test screenings didn't like the more jokey tone. But THR states he was brought in early this year, and I don't know if test screenings would have been done that early on. All I ask is for a heartfelt, epic, and consistent score. After the music from the trailers and even that first poster we got with the score in the background, it felt like this wasn't going to be a jokey score. So I'm not worried about this, but I will address the World of Real article a bit later on, and make sure to stick around because that's a really important talking point. Now, the final THR update is that Gunn is due to deliver a final and locked movie next Friday. That's 5 weeks before its July 11th release date, and a sign of studio satisfaction. And this is the most promising sign. Locking in a movie 5 weeks from release means they're happy with the movie, and this gives me a lot of optimism. Previous DCEU movies have been worked on right up to the movie's release date, so I'm glad the first movie in the DCU is going to be picture locked 5 weeks ahead of release. It's a good sign and a nice change from what DC has been like in the past few years, and this doesn't mean the CGI can't be improved on after next Friday. So I'm really hoping they keep working on the CGI. It looks mostly great, but with Gunn emphasizing how he has given them so much time to work on the visual effects, I think they still need to improve some elements of it, because I do have high expectations after his emphasis on that specific element of the movie. But what I will say as well is that all the panic and fear around this movie doesn't really add up if they are picture locking the movie 5 weeks ahead of release. And many of you have probably seen the World of Real report, which claimed things like the film went under reshoots after test screenings and quietly fired an editor and replaced the composer to make the score more serious. And firstly, I have never heard of the World of Real before before this article, so I have no idea how credible they are, but I would say I think The Hollywood Reporter is arguably the most reliable source out there bar the studio themselves. And in all fairness, it looks like The World of Real did actually get correct information, but they have spun it in a negative way. Because if you look at the differences between the World of Real report and THR's report, World of Real states reshoots occurred, whilst THR states they were just pickups and not reshoots. The word reshoots sends negativity into any DC fan who reads it, and negativity gets shared a lot more than positivity on social media. So what words do you think a smaller publication would use to get their article out there? And when we compare each talking point the articles have, you see a clear pattern. The World of Real is far more negative, whereas The Hollywood Reporter is far more neutral, which I think displays the professionalism of the larger publication. And I think this is unfortunately the world we live in. The only way smaller and newer publications and even YouTube channels can grow and be noticed is by being negative. Negativity grabs people's attention even when utterly false. So you will see people out there twisting everything into a negative because without that, they won't get noticed. I even notice when my videos are even slightly framed as negative, I get more views than my neutral or positive videos, sometimes even double the amount of views. It's just unfortunately the world we live in, and I think some out there see the traction they get when being negative and run with it until that's all they know what to do. I have my concerns with this Superman movie, but I won't let that dictate how I judge what we see and hear and how I share that with you guys. The pickups, change in editor, and hiring of a new composer could all be bad things for the movie, but they're also very normal things that go on in the movie making industry. So to assume it's a negative right now, for me, would be jumping the gun. And I'm doing a test in this episode. I have created 3 different thumbnails for this video, and in the next episode, I will share which thumbnail had the biggest click-through rate, and the results will be very interesting. But to summarize, I think the World of Real publication has inside information, but they think the only way they can get noticed and be in the conversation is by putting a negative spin on it. Which is a shame because I actually think many channels out there would see them as credible if they just shared the inside information and didn't manipulate it for quick and easy clicks. But it looks like the movie might be quite successful despite these reports. Superman is tracking to earn domestically $154 million to $175 million on opening weekend based on an early forecast. The film is potentially set to soar as 2025's best opening. And this is incredible if true, however I wouldn't believe this 100%. Predicting this number this early on when tickets haven't even gone on sale yet means this might end up being true, but there's no guarantee of it just yet. If this was true, then this would be incredible for the movie. It would beat the likes of The Dark Knight Rises, Man of Steel, and The Batman, which all went on to make quite a lot of money, so this would be very promising. Now I hear some say fans shouldn't care about the box office, that shouldn't be our priority. We should be focusing on the quality of the movie only, and whilst that should be our main priority, and is certainly mine, the box office is incredibly important for us. If this film flops, say goodbye to the DCU. If it makes a profit, then we are looking at the DCU completely taking off. This film will decide if we will get more connected universe movies or not. So the box office is very important to us fans, and this early prediction is hopefully very accurate or below what it actually will be. And if it is accurate, then we could be looking at this movie making $700 million plus, and that is a huge win for the studio and for us fans. But for me, that will mean nothing if the movie isn't good. So quality is the priority, but box office is also very important. But I don't think this is 100% accurate or 100% false. They are from a reliable source, but without any ticket sales, they are just predictions based on metrics other than ticket sales, so they could be wrong. We then also got some new promotion for the Superman movie with a little behind the scenes video of David Corenswet in Cleveland chatting and interacting with some kids on the set, and this was a really heartwarming video. To many children, these aren't just actors, they see them as the superhero themselves, so seeing David interact with them the way he does is really sweet and can completely embodies who Superman is. And it makes me hopeful for this kind of scene in the movie. Kids look up to Superman, and we are going to see that in this film. It's something that has been missing from live-action Superman stories for quite a while now, which isn't a criticism of those versions, they just focus on other important elements of Superman. It's just a compliment to this new Superman that will have at least one scene of him interacting with kids, which is a really special part of Superman's character. We also have some minor updates which I will go through quickly, and they are two behind-the-scenes videos. The first is showing a new look at David Corenswet Superman where he looks great, and it really does create the question again, why was this our first look at Superman? And the second behind-the-scenes video is Gunn talking us through directing a scene from the movie in the Daily Planet. It's a really interesting video and it's about 30 seconds long, so make sure to check it out because it's really cool to get an insight into how he works on a film set. And the final incredible update today is that Real Outreach are setting up a fundraiser for a screening of Superman for underprivileged kids so they get to experience a movie in the cinema. Their goal was $15,000 and they are already over $6,000, with James Gunn donating $1,000 himself, which is very kind of him. If you wish to donate to help underprivileged kids get to have a cinematic experience, I will leave a link in the description below. But that is all for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you never miss an episode of The Road to Superman. I hope to see you here again soon, so until then, have a great day. Bye!